traders, welcome back to the next part of our series here on building a winning trading strategy. I'm super excited about this series, but I want to make sure that if you're just tuning into this video and you have not already seen parts 1 and 2 on entries and exits, as well as our second part, which was back testing, I would highly recommend you go check that out in the playlist section of my YouTube channel. You can find this information and you can get up to date on this series. It's very important that you go sequentially because I'm kind of building off of the stuff that we've talked about historically or through the past different things that I posted here. So today we're talking about forward testing, and forward testing is super important, in my opinion, in building a strategy that is actually going to stand the test of time and be a winning system. So here we go. So what actually is forward testing? Well, forward testing is basically, so we already talked about back testing, assuming you've watched that video. Back testing is looking historically at stuff. Well, forward testing is now trading into the future. Now we're rubbing our hands together. We're putting things together, and we're actually going to try out our new strategy in real time. So let's say that you've gone through the back testing phase. Again, we don't want to be forward testing until we've already back tested and we've seen some pretty promising results. Something that looks pretty good, let's actually put it on the line. Let's try it out. And that's what we're going to be doing here with forward testing. So what we're going to be doing with forward testing is we're going to be trying it out in real time, but we're also going to be finding out how well you execute the system that you built, right? It's going to be very important that the strategy that you built, you're actually able to comfortably execute and that you can see the setups that you're looking for, and it's not all in hindsight, right? Because we're going to be doing this into the real-time data that's coming into the market. And that's awesome because we can use a demo account for that, which is how I personally recommend going through with forward testing. So you will make some mistakes in here and you will learn. That's okay. That's the point of testing, right? We're going to make our mistakes. We're going to try things out. And if we make errors, then no big deal. The best part is that we won't lose real money if we mess up or if the strategy is not as good as that we had hoped. Okay. So demo accounts. Here's the thing. A lot of times when we talk about demo accounts on the internet, you hear a lot of people who say demo accounts are never going to help you. You're never going to, it's not helpful. And you might ask, well, why? It's because there's no money on the line, right? Well, that is true to a degree. If you don't have any money to gain or you have no money to lose, well, in my opinion, you've already missed the point. You've already missed the point of building a winning strategy. We cannot think about money just yet. Money is not the core motivator here, or it shouldn't be, in building a cool strategy that actually works. The motivator for me in building strategies is to actually build something that has some good returns, and it has not just the money, but the aspect of a comfortable strategy that is versatile and that can actually stand the markets, different volatility spikes and different things happening. That to me is the cool part. Maybe not for everybody. Of course, money is a motivator, but we can't be thinking about the money right now. So as hard as it is, don't think about making money right now. Regardless of whether you're using a demo account or not, if the money is your focus, if the money is the only reason that you're doing it, you have no interest in what you're doing, I think it's going to end badly either way. So that's just my opinion. But let's talk about something. Maybe you don't have real money on the line, but I don't know about you, but I value my time and I value my effort. Obviously, this is something that, I put a lot of time into, and I don't want to waste my time, right? So what I would encourage you to do is that if you're going to look at demo accounts, treat them as a cost or a real money on the line in the form of your time and effort. That's worth something to me. I'm sure that it's worth something to you. And my recommendation, again, is to treat your demo account as if it's real. As much as you can, understand that your time and energy is worth something, and that you are putting that on the line when you trade a demo account to try and produce results that will hopefully someday be used in your real performance. So what I mean by taking it as a real account is do all the standard things that are very important, in my opinion, to trading success, which is take notes on what you're doing, write things down, journal your trades, and review your performance. We'll get to that a little bit more in just a moment. So when we're talking about forward testing, once you've got a demo account set up, now it's actually time to trade. It's time to look for those setups that you talked about and that you built those strategies about in your backtesting phase, and you're talking about your entries and exits, okay? So now we have to take theoretical trades when we see them come up And for testing purposes, I'm just going to stand to a general approach would be to say, let's risk 1 to 2% of the account. Now, this may be more or less depending on what your strategy is, and feel free to play with this, but just generally as a basic approach, let's say that you risk 1 to 2% of the account, meaning you've got, if your trade is using a stop loss, you've got 1 to 2% of the account risked at any given time. And if it's not using a stop loss at 1 to 2% drawdown, maybe you close out the trades, right? Just as an example. Now, track your performance in a spreadsheet. And this is very, very important. We talked about this in the back testing phase, but you can also do it in the forward testing. So when you are forward testing a strategy, whip out your spreadsheet again. Spreadsheets are going to be your new best friend, because you need to basically, as you take those trades, log how they're doing. Obviously, you can look through the MetaTrader or TradingView historical data to see how your trades are doing, but I personally like to put it into a spreadsheet and get all the information that I want to see so that I can look at my performance later on. We're going to come back to that. Very, very important. Test it for as long as you can, but at least for a few weeks, okay? You should not be in a rush here. It's very important that you don't rush, because again, if you're rushing, you're too interested in just going out there and making money, and I promise you, it's worth putting in the time and effort before you put real money on the line, because in my mind, it's much better to spend more time in the testing and developing phase than the actual getting into trading, because you can get into trading too soon and then you'll very much regret it if you have some bad trades, okay? So again, take your time on it. Now, at the end of your trial period, whatever you choose to do, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, at the end of your trial period, it's time to evaluate your strategy. And again, the longer your evaluation you have, the more data you have, the better this forward testing is going to be, in my opinion, because it gives you a better picture of what your strategy will likely go through. So we need to take a look at the number of wins, and we need to take a look at the number of losses, because this is what's going to give you your win percentage. So we've got a simple formula here. Don't worry if you're not great at math like me. This should be simple enough. Number of wins divided by the total number of trades, okay? This is going to give you your win percentage. So the example down below, if you have 15 wins and you took 25 total trades, that gives you a 60% win rate. Now you might say, well, Nick, that's a failing grade on a test. But in currency trading and in trading in general, right, whether you're trading stocks, cryptocurrency, whatever, a 60% win rate is actually not so bad depending on what your risk to reward was, right? If you have a decent risk to reward, which we'll talk about in just a moment, that can actually be great. And 60% of the time, even on a 1-to-1 risk to reward, meaning you risk $1 to make $1, is actually still a winning strategy in most cases. So, it's very important to calculate your win rate just so that you have an idea of how often should you be winning your trades. If you have a 70% win rate and you're losing 70% of the time, something is wrong, right? So next we have to take a look at the average reward to risk, or you've heard it as risk to reward. But to me, it actually makes more sense to say reward to risk. The reason is because usually you hear 2-to-1 risk to reward, but that's confusing because it's reversed. It's actually, you have 2-to-1 reward, $2 to make $1 of risk. Or you risk $1 to make $2. It's a little bit confusing, but I say reward to risk. But regardless, how many dollars did you make for every dollar that you risked? Now, it's important here because if you risk $1 to make $2, then you have a 2-to-1 reward to risk. And if we go back to our previous slide here, if you have a 60% win rate and a 2-to-1 reward to risk, that's actually fantastic. That means that you're winning more often than you're losing, and you have a high reward to risk. This is very tough to find a strategy that is that good. It's not easy, and definitely if you spend the time back testing and forward testing, you will see that. It's not easy to find a strategy like that, but it is certainly possible. There are some things that are out there, and for a little while they may work like that, and then they may deteriorate and not work as well, but that's another topic. So let's talk about the next big question. Does your forward testing at the end of your evaluation phase, once you've done the testing for a few weeks, 2 to 6 weeks again, does your forward testing actually look similar to the back testing that we did previously? Well, if yes, then great. This is looking great. This is definitely looking promising. We're not done yet. It's not a guarantee that we're going to go print money and be in Lamborghinis next week, but maybe it's time to test on a small account, which is kind of the next step in forward testing, which is basically once you have seen some success on your trading in the forward testing on the demo account, if you've seen that for a little while and you're confident, well, maybe you can make the decision if you want to take that money and put it on a small account. my opinion when I do this is I will take money, and for me, I'll take something like $1,000 and I'll trade 0.01 lots on it to see how it performs. For you, that might be similar, it might be less, it might be more. It just comes down to you as a person. But for me, $1,000 is a good test size. For someone else, it might be $100. But I'd say $100 is probably a starting point if you're going to be using 0.01 lots. Just my opinion there on a small test account. To me, once you start getting past the 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, then you're starting to get into like a medium-sized account where you're a little bit bigger. It depends where you are in the world, though, because different parts of the world, US dollars are or more or less in different economies. So it just comes down to you as a person and your comfort, I guess. If your forward testing does not look similar to your back testing, well, then it's time to go back. See, this is the thing. This is where if you have a no, if you say, no, it doesn't look anything like it, hey, actually, you know what? Let's still be positive about this and realize that, well, we didn't lose any real money. We're still just on a demo account. So yes, we spent some time testing, but testing is time consuming regardless. And thank goodness we didn't put it on real money, right? So if no, it's time to go back to the drawing board and see what is missing. So that concludes today's lesson here on forward testing. Next, we will be talking about stress testing. So make sure, if you have not already, subscribe to this YouTube channel, give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this series, and make sure to stick around and watch the next video, which is going to be all about stress testing, which is a very, very important next lesson on building a winning trading system. Stay tuned. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next time.